Today we're checking out some very high quality playback controllers by Oaktone. There are 3 different versions and these are great if you need to trigger playback live for your live shows. Often this is for backing tracks, click track, and sometimes with synchronized lighting, video, and MIDI and stuff like that. There is the Oakboard Mini 2, which keeps it very, very simple. There is the Slide Duo, which adds 2 sliders and also has 2 USB out ports for redundancy setups where you have 2 computers running the same setup. And there's also the Oakboard Floor Vista. This is actually really cool because you can control this with your feet, and if you use it with certain software, you can actually see your set list right here on the screen. Especially for like guitar players like me, I don't have to walk over to the computer and see what song is next if I need to skip something. I can do it all from my feet. As a musician who performs with backing tracks and click track, and often with the synchronized light show, video, and MIDI, playback is a big part of my setup, and these are probably some of the best playback controllers that I've ever seen. I was fortunate I got to see this at NAMM 2025 this year, and they sent these over for me to try out for a video. Nothing in this video is paid. All the opinions in this video are my own, and I'm going to go over it in detail to see if it's something that's right for you and your needs. Also, at the end of the video, I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers, so consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and let's go ahead and get started. I am going to demo the Mini and then the Slide Duo first. They're very, very similar, and then after that, I'll show you how to use the Floor Vista. So this one is the Oakboard Mini 2. You have very obvious buttons for play, stop, previous, and next. And you also have these 2 buttons in the middle, which you can program basically for whatever you want. And I'll show you that here in a second with the programming. And all of these are bus powered with USB-C. This one is the Slide Duo 2. It has everything that the Mini has, but it includes these 2 sliders right here, which you can use to control levels of the tracks or control lights or whatever you want to control with MIDI via sliders, which is very cool. One of the things that's really great about this is it actually has 2 USB ports here at the top. So for like redundancy setups where you're connecting to 2 computers, one is the main and the other one is the spare, you can send play commands to both computers at the exact same time and control both computers with this one device, which is very, very cool. And then this one right here is the Floor Vista. You have foot control for previous, next, play, and stop. But this one is really cool because it will display your set list on here, which I'll show you here in a little bit. And you can change up your set from your feet without having to go to your computer. Very, very cool. And I do just want to show you how bright these are. I'm going to turn off all the lights and you can still see nice and bright play, stop, previous, and next, which is really smart, especially for like dark stages and stuff like that. But let's start programming these. I'm going to do Ableton first. This isn't a tutorial about Ableton, but if you do need help with setting up your backing tracks in Ableton, I do have a beginner's guide on that if you are interested. But the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your settings. The shortcut is Command, go to Link, Tempo, and MIDI, and make sure that on the input ports, the Oakboard Mini, the track and remote ports are enabled. You want both of those to be enabled, otherwise this won't work. If you've never programmed MIDI in Ableton, it's unbelievably easy. Click up here where it says MIDI. Everything that can be assigned with MIDI turns purple. Click the parameter that you want to assign. So in this case, I'm going to click play. I'm going to push play on my Oakboard Mini, and it is now assigned. I'm going to assign stop to the stop button. And then this is in session view. I'll show you arrangement view here in a minute, but scene down will be assigned to the next button and scene up will be assigned to the previous button. Keep in mind you can assign these to whatever you want. That's what's cool about Ableton. And then for these middle ones, I'm going to assign one of these to turn on and off the click track. And I'm also going to set the other one to a tap tempo so I can adjust the click track as well. Keep in mind if you open this window over here, you can see what has been assigned in Ableton via MIDI. Everything is connected and configured properly. If I push the next button, you can see it scrolls through the different scenes. Previous goes up different scenes, and I can push play on whichever song I want to start.
Go ahead. Start from the beginning.
And then push stop, and it stops the playback. This button will turn on the click track, and I also have a tap tempo to tap in the tempo if I want to. But again, these 2 in the middle can be assigned to whatever you want them to control. Incredibly easy to set up, and it works really well if you need to configure where you want to go in your set list. This is just the basic version. You can get more advanced, but I'm just showing you the basics first. So I personally use session view, but I know a lot of people also like arrangement view, so I'll demo how to do this in arrangement view as well. Let me know in the comments if you prefer session view or arrangement view for your live tracks. So same idea in arrangement view, you're going to want to have these markers for your songs or parts of a song or however you have your setup set up in Ableton. What's different in arrangement view is you might want to use this next locator and previous locator button. I'm going to assign those to next and previous on the Oakboard. If you aren't familiar with how to set a locator in Ableton, you right-click, add locator, and then give it a name. And now you can see when I push previous and next, you can see that it jumps between the different locators that I've set, and then push play when you're ready to start the song. And you can skip through with the locators and then push play and stop. I'm definitely a bigger fan of session view personally, but I know some people like arrangement view as well, so I figured I'd show you both. So the Duo slider is literally the exact same thing. Make sure that track and remote are enabled on input. Go to MIDI and assign play, stop, previous, next, and so on, exactly how we did with the Mini. The thing that's different is that you have these two sliders right here. So let's say I want to assign this first slider to control the backing tracks, the level of the backing tracks, and then the second one to control this fader right here. You could also use it for lights if you have software that responds to MIDI for controlling lighting, or whatever you need to control with the slider via MIDI, you can assign with this. But I think the biggest thing about this one is that you have two USB ports up here to connect to two separate computers. This is very common with redundant computer setups, especially for larger tours. Now, I don't have two laptops, but I'm going to demo this actually in Stage Tracks 3. This is a great app that I use. I have a 4-part video series on this if you're interested in checking it out more. But I use this for backing tracks and lyrics and stuff like that. You would likely need an audio interface in order for this to work so that you can still do multi-track outputs, but just notice that when I push play, it starts playing on both my iPad and my phone, and I have assigned this button to scroll the lyrics and this one to go up in the lyrics. I'm just showing you how you can connect this to two laptops or two iPads or whatever you want to do for a redundancy setup. One is your main, the other one is your spare, and the Oaktone Slide Duo can control both at once, which is really cool. And just really quick, I'll show you how to set this up in Logic as well. If you do want a full video on how to set up backing tracks in Logic, I do have a video going over that. That series is actually how I started my YouTube channel. This definitely isn't as easy as Ableton, but it's still possible. The way that I like to do this is having each of your backing tracks on their own audio file and then label them with markers up here, which you can see that I did. Again, watch that video if you want to find out how to do this. But regardless, however you set up your Logic file, to set up MIDI, you go up to Control Surfaces and then Controller Assignments. You want to make sure that you're in Expert View, and then you're going to go over here to Commands and you're going to hit Show. So in this case, I'm going to search for play. Here's play right here. I'm going to say Learn New Assignment, and I'm going to push the play button on my Oakboard. You can see it says learned, which means that it has learned that assignment. I'm going to do the exact same thing for stop. Learn New Assignment, assign that to stop. And then for me, I like to do next marker and previous marker. So next marker, I'm going to assign that to next. And previous, I'm going to assign to previous. So now you can see that I can push play and stop just normally. But I can scroll through the markers like this to go to the song that I need to go to. That's kind of the way that I would do it. And remember, you can assign these middle two to whatever you prefer. As far as the sliders, you can actually just click Learn Mode right here, and then I'm going to click on the master output, the stereo output anyways, and move the slider, and you can see it's controlling that. I'll do the same thing on the level of echo, just for example, and you can see now the second slider is controlling that. I have control over the stereo out and the level of the track echo. But again, I'm just showing you how to do it. Assign it however you want in Logic, and you can MIDI map your controllers to your DAW. So Ableton and Logic are just the main DAWs that I use. If you use other DAWs, as long as it's able to receive MIDI commands, which most of them can, it should work with yours as well. But now let's go ahead and check out the Floor Vista. This was the first thing I saw about this company. It was the guitarist from Seosin actually did a rig rundown, and he had this, and he could control and see his set list from his pedal board, and the laptop was way off to the side. I was like, what is that? I want to find out what this is, and that's how I first heard of it. This thing is really cool. Has a couple more steps to set up, but here's how you do it. If you are finding this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It's the free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Okay, so with the Floor Vista, you actually can just MIDI assign this just like you have with everything else. Assign play, stop, previous, and next. But the thing that's cool about this is the display screen. So that takes a little bit more time to set up. So first of all, for your configurations, you need to have track and remote enabled on the input ports. And also on the output ports, you need to enable sync. And you'll see why here in a minute. But that's how you want to configure the Floor Vista. And this is my actual old set that I have for Ableton for my original music spiral cell. This is for the first album. I'm reprogramming all of this for the new album. If you do want to check out any of the music, I'll link to it down below. Shameless plug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do right click and I'm going to insert a MIDI track. And this one I'm going to call Taz Pro. This is the software that you can use in order to display the songs on the Floor Vista. Do keep in mind this only works with Ableton Suite because it is a Max for Live device. So you do need to have a version of Ableton Suite for this to work. But you're going to go to wherever your Max for Live devices are and drop in Taz Pro onto this MIDI track. You can see it brings this screen up down here. And now what you want to do is you want to go and MIDI map this. I'm going to MIDI map stop, next, play, and previous. I'm also going to set it to session view because that's the mode I personally use. I will show you arrangement view here in a second. And then what you have to do is you have to go set the MIDI from on that MIDI track, and you set the MIDI from to the Floor Vista. You can see that my screen is currently blank, but that's what you should see, and that means that it is working. So the way that I have this set up is each scene is its own song, and you can see that over here on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add MIDI data into that MIDI track that we made for Taz Pro for each of these songs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename them. Now, the way that you get it to communicate with the Floor Vista is you have to do asterisks and then a space and then whatever it's called. So this one is called Soundcheck. So it's asterisk space Soundcheck. And you can see that on the Floor Vista, it actually says Soundcheck now. This next one is called Restart. You can see all of this is showing up on the Floor Vista as I'm inputting them. So I'm going to name all of these really quick. Just all of the songs are going to be named what they are. So you can see all of them are named, and now you can see it shows up on the Floor Vista. So when I push next, you can see it actually scrolls through each of the songs with next or previous. Let's say I want to start Divergence, go there and push play.
Divergence.
You can see it loaded the track Divergence. You can hear there's a voice that'll tell you the name of the song, and I'll show you how to configure that here in a minute. I actually really love that feature.
Immersion.
But you can configure it and turn it on or off for it. So from my feet, if I wanted to skip down to Cellophane Blindfold,
Cellophane Blindfold.
and it will skip to Cellophane Blindfold. Do note that it automatically queues up the next song in the set list, which is really nice. And also the play light will blink at the tempo that you're set to. Now with Taz Pro, you actually get a couple more things that you can do here. Click Cue List, and this is actually really helpful. So normally if I had to reorder like a show for a set list, I would have to go in here and I'd have to like drag the scenes around and move them into a different order and stuff like that. With this, it actually makes it a lot easier. So what I can do is I can edit the preset and let's move Wake and Walk up here. Let's move Asymptote up by 1 or something like that. I'm just showing you a slightly different arrangement, but I'm going to call this 30-minute set Bluebird. Like I'm playing at the Bluebird Theater and this is going to be my set list for that. So I can switch, I can either have it set in chronological order, and now it's just as it's set up in Ableton, or I can load my specific set list of the exact set list that I plan to do for this show. And now, as I scroll through, you can see that it's in that order on the Floor Vista. So normally right after immersion would be ellipsis. You can see that in my scenes over here on the right. But I programmed my cue list to put Wake and Walk next. So after immersion's done, I've set it up that I want to play Wake and Walk next. It's saved that way in the Floor Vista. When I push play, it loads the correct scene for Wake and Walk.
Wake.
I don't have to restructure my scenes at all in Ableton. Very, very cool. So with the voice, so you can click this little dot over here and it'll get you to the secondary menu of Taz Pro. So this is where you can start to manipulate the voice. So first of all, you can configure where the voice goes. So with the audio out on that MIDI channel that we made, so I could run that just out like output 3 or something on my audio interface. Obviously, I don't want that going to front of house, so that would route to like my in-ear monitors or something like that. The warp feature is pretty cool. I actually like to slow it down a little bit, just so it says it a little bit slower.
Divergence.
If you slow it down too much, it sounds a little bit weird.
Divergence.
And if you speed it up, it's obviously way too fast.
Divergence.
So I actually kind of like to slow it down a little bit. You can just turn it off as well if you just don't want that feature. But it is really nice just to say what song this is. That way you always know what song you are playing, just in case. And remember, all of this can be done in arrangement view as well. So it's the exact same idea. Just set Taz Pro to arrangement view. I'm going to just quickly make these markers and give them some names just in the exact same way that we did. You give it the asterisks and a space for each of the locators. And you can see they're actually showing up on the Floor Vista. So it's the exact same process. Name your locators with an asterisk and a space, and it will show up on your Floor Vista. And you can see I can scroll through the different locators.
Causality.
And then push play and stop. Really cool how well this works. I don't have to go to my computer.
Sphere storm.
I can do all of this from my feet, which is awesome.
Augmented.
Another cool feature about this is if you want to program the MIDI messages that are being sent out of the Oakboards, you can actually go to the Oaktone website, go to Contact, and then Knowledge Base. And in here, you can go to Programming Mode. And it'll tell you right here that these are what commands are being sent from the Oakboards. But if you want to change that, you can click on Online Oakboard Programmer, and it brings you to this page right here. You can see that it found my floor Vista that is currently plugged into my computer. And I could set, the previous to send a different note if I wanted to. So I can also change the MIDI channel. It's currently set to output on MIDI channel 16. If I want to set that to MIDI channel 6 or something like that, I could, and then upload to Oakboard. So very nice that you can customize this as well. As of the time of shooting, the Oakboard Mini is about $230, the Slide Duo is about $390, and the Floor Vista is about $400. Each of them do have an option to come with a case for about $30, and the cases are quite nice actually. They fit it really well, and it has a slot where you can leave USB-C cables or other accessories as well. And if you did decide that these are right for your needs, I will have links down below in the description. So I love these. These are really well built. The design, it's really solid. It definitely is very sturdy. I love how bright it is. So even if you're in a really dark stage, you can still see where the play button is. A lot of great features with it. I'm trying to think of if there's any way to really improve it. I honestly don't really know. Maybe if there was like a way that you could double tap or hold and send a different command, maybe for MIDI, but at the same time, any of these are just so great at playback controllers. That's what they're meant to do. I don't think it really needs to be anything else. Keep in mind, if you do have to run the USB longer than 16 feet, sometimes you can get away with 20 feet, but 16 feet normally, you could have it where the cable is too long and it won't connect to your computer. So in that case, you're going to need to do something with Ethernet. One of the most common ones is the Mio XM, and this is the one I saw from Bo, the guitar player from Seosin. He uses that one. I'll link to that video down below, as well as another video on how to set something up like that. But I could definitely see this being used by playback engineers. There's a lot of playback engineers on really big tours that use these. Keyboard players or drummers who are in charge of running the playback. Just having one of these sitting right by them is really helpful. One of the bands I play in, the drummer actually triggers Ableton and goes over to the computer and pushes play. This is going to be so much more convenient for that. But I'm going to bring this to our next gig for sure. I'm definitely going to use it, especially the Floor Vista in Spiral Cell, my original music. It's going to be really helpful in my setup. So many thanks to Oaktone for sending this over. I love it. I'm going to continue to use it. And if you've decided that it's right for you, there are purchase links to check this out for yourself down below in the description. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am going to do a giveaway to one of my subscribers. I'm going to give away the Mini 2 in the case. This giveaway is for subscribers, so be sure to subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, you just have to leave a comment down below in order to enter the giveaway. Normally I say you have to enter a magic phrase, but this time I just want you to leave a comment and tell me how you use backing tracks live. Just let me know the basic details of how you run your backing tracks live, and you will be entered for the giveaway. You only have 24 hours to enter the giveaway, and I will announce the winner on this date right here. Please remember, do not respond to scammers. Scammers sometimes show up when I do giveaways. I will never, ever ask you for money for shipping or anything like that. If anyone messages you, says that they're me, and they ask you for money, that is a scammer. Please do not respond to scammers. Two other videos of mine to check out if you guys are in the playback world. There are two really cool devices that accept MIDI to control lighting and or video. So the first one is the MVP by Forecast. This is a standalone device that you send MIDI messages to, and it will output full lighting DMX scenes as well as video. Really, really cool. And also I did a review of the Maestro DMX. This is a device that can receive MIDI commands, and you don't have to program like a full DMX light scene. It will listen to the music, you give it some parameters, and then it will make a light show for you. I use both of those products myself, and it's really, really cool. You can check out both those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. If you have any other cool gear for me to check out, please leave me as a comment down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Ewell Music. Instagram's the main one, but I'm on basically all of them. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.